At Wind River Resort and Casino, we like to celebrate life's little moments. Oh, and the big ones too, because around here, when you're completely in the moment, that's when the magic happens. Come in and find your moment at Wind River Resort and Casino.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Krueger. You're watching a special edition, a weekend edition of Coffee with Krueger on this Saturday as the storm system pushes through. It's not quite having the impact as expected, but still, the gusty winds creating power outages. Of course, the snow is creating some chain requirements, and most of the chain requirements are mainly east of I-5. You can see plenty of chain requirements west of I-5 on Highway 36. That one you see near Mount Shasta, that's actually on Highway 89. So as of right now, I-5 is clear. In fact, let's take a look at just the Caltrans cameras up on I-5. There you can see Dunsmuir and I-5 at State Route 89. That's, of course, near Mount Shasta City. Looks like the road is clear. Plenty of snow on the side of the road. And, of course, on Snowman Summit, no surprises there at 4,500 feet. You are seeing some snow on the highway there. Let's take a look at the latest radar. And believe it or not, this morning, there was a tornado warning in San Francisco, in the city itself. Now, of course, that expired earlier this morning, and you can clearly see the activity that pushed on through. Now, that heavier rainfall is that last push of heavy rainfall that's moving into Northern California, NorCal in general. And you can see it's out towards Glenn County, Butte County, parts of Tehama County, seeing some of the heavier rainfall. And that's pushing northward, and eventually Redding will get in some of that heavier rainfall as well. But this is all pushing to the east, northeast. Once this pushes through, it'll turn over to scattered showers as we get closer to the afternoon hours. All right, let's take a look at some of those rainfall totals over the last 3 days. Oh, for goodness sake. I was supposed to have that updated, but it wasn't. Let me see if I have the one that I need here. That's the wrong one. Give me just a second, folks, if you'll just excuse me and pardon me here. DMA rainfall. Let's see here. It was nice and smooth and good, and then boom, crash and burn. Wouldn't you know? Well, shoot. I think this is it. No, that's not it. Oh, darn it. Well, here, maybe this is it. Let me see if this one's updated. This is the updated one. Oh, thank goodness I found it. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that one. We're going here. And so, all right, so let's go back to the smooth forecast that I was just giving you, right? So there you can see the last 3 days, almost 3 inches out of Redding. Not quite as much for Red Bluff and Chico, but still very good numbers here. You can see 3.39 in Crescent City. Look at Inhoopa, 3.57 inches of rain. So very impressive there. Take a look at some of the peak wind gusts that we have seen over parts of Northern California. And there, of course, you can see in the last 24 hours. Now, the coast saw them yesterday. And, of course, last night and early this morning, we saw gusts over 40, even over 50 miles per hour for parts of the valley. Not quite as strong in the mountains, but the valley certainly did see some pretty strong gusts. Now, as a result, here's as of this morning, there are power outages in different parts of Northern California. Humboldt County, about 300 people are without power. Trinity County, 100. 400 people in Siskiyou County. You can see out in Shasta County, about 500 people without power. And you can see in Butte County, we are looking at 600 people without power at this point. And these are all approximate numbers here, but you can see the winds are starting to die down in the valley, but still gusty nonetheless. So we are certainly seeing those gusty winds out there this morning. Let's get you through Krueger's Quick Cast for those of you that are just wanting to check to see what you can do. If you have any plans for this morning or today, we can help you get out the door this morning. So this morning we're looking at temperatures in the upper 40s for the valley, 50 degrees in Oroville, and we've got temperatures in the 30s for the higher elevations. Now there is a flood watch for mainly southern Humboldt County. This is something I've been talking about the last few days. It expires at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We take you to the south and issue just in the last hour or so. There is a, this actually should not say, an aerial flood advisory for that lighter shade of green kind of circled in there. Those are areas where we could see some localized flooding in those areas. In fact, we take a look at the river forecast. I'm not terribly concerned about the rivers and the creeks and streams. However, we could see them some of them could get close to flood stage. Let's take a look at Mad River near Arcata. Now, as we go into this mid-morning hours or so, we could probably see it get into what's known as the action stage. That's not in the flood stage at all. It's getting closer to the flood stage. We take you out to Eel River at Fernbridge. This is, of course, on the north coast. As we get into closer to late tonight, early tomorrow morning, it is expected to crest at 17.5 feet, but still below the flood stage. And what you'll notice is all of these are below the flood stage, but with the excessive rain that we've seen over the last few days, we are starting to see those creeks, streams, and rivers, including the Sacramento River at Vina, Woodson Bridge. I mean, it's nowhere near that flood stage, but it's getting close. I mean, 179.3. We take you out to Hamilton City, Sacramento River. It's expected to crest at 142.1 feet. But again, the flood stage is 147, so that's about 5 feet below the flood stage. So nothing to be terribly concerned about there. And you can see at Ord Ferry, the flood stage is 114 feet. So we'll be about 3.5, 4 feet from the flood stage here with that. Now, we switch gears. We talk about the winter storm warning for the areas in red. Of course, that's just because we've got a lot of that snow coming out there. And the wind now is mainly just the advisory for the valley. This is where we've seen the strongest winds this morning, but the winds will subside through the morning hours. There's also a coastal flood warning. Now, this has nothing to do with the rain, folks. This is from the king tides that we are seeing along the coast. That is going to, of course, be a problem. A lot of the problem areas that we do see during these king tides. And again, high tides is where we could be running into some problems. So heading out the door this morning, here's what we've got. Looks like we are going to be looking at off and on chances for rain this morning. Now, the rain will be heavy at times, especially in the valley, but we are going to start to see it begin to taper off to scattered showers later this afternoon. So the storm system, that cold front, along that line is where we are seeing the strongest winds. So as we get behind the cold front, the winds start to die down. But the temperatures also start to drop, and as a result, our snow levels are going to start to drop. You'll also see that spin that is kind of behind the cold front, approaching kind of Sacramento and then getting into north of Sacramento. That spin is that last push of that heavier rainfall we saw on the radar. Meanwhile, behind that is the next system coming in late in the day, Sunday and into Monday. So here's a look at Futurecast. Let's take you into this morning at about 8 a.m. There's some of that heavier rainfall pushing northward. And of course, that's going to translate to heavy snow, mainly above 3,000, 3,500 feet. Now, as we go into the noon hour, you see how it's pushing to the east. Now we're starting to see it in the way of scattered showers for the valley. And then it looks like it actually starts to kind of clear out a little bit. And in fact, we're just looking at scattered snow flurries for Saturday afternoon, this afternoon, right? Now notice the clearing in the valley. If we get enough clearing early enough in the day, we could be looking at the potential for some convective showers and thunderstorms. However, we're kind of that time of the year, we have a low angle of the sun, less daylight. We tend to not see those convective showers develop this time of the year. If this was happening, say in the middle of the summer, you can bet we'd be looking at thunderstorms. But the chances are getting slimmer here as we kind of see these shorter and shorter days, and the lower angle of the sun doesn't help either. So as you can see, by 10 o'clock tonight, mainly looking at those dry conditions. Once again, we take a look at those road conditions out there, and it's mainly on Highway 36 west and east of I-5 at this point. But, you know, that could change. So let's take a tour of the Caltrans cameras. Fondale exit. No backup there because they're not screening for good reason. Pitt River Bridge, Lakehead, looks like it's all just in the form of rain and wet roads. You can see on I-5 near Mount Shasta, Dunsmuir, but Snowman Summit, no surprise there. There is snow on the highway there, which is why there are chain requirements there. Black Butte on I-5. It's looking clear there as well. Can't really see anything there on I-5, US 97, but you can see Grass Lake, looks good. Mount Hebron, is that how you say it? I think it's Hebron. At 4,200 feet, looks clear there as well. All right, let's take you out to Buckhorn. Now, again, keep in mind, we're not looking at a camera on Buckhorn Summit itself. The Buckhorn Summit's about 3,200 feet. So this is below Buckhorn Summit, the image that you're seeing here, but it looks wet, not necessarily covered in snow. Oregon Mountain looks wet. Berry Summit looks good. So Highway 299 West looks okay. Hatchet Mountain, though, we've seen this deteriorate over time, or this throughout the morning. We're now seeing snow getting covered on Hatchet Mountain. This is Highway 299 East, by the way. 299, State Route 89, the intersection there known as Four Corners, looks wet but not snowy, and looks a little icy and kind of slushy there on Cedar Pass, 6,000 feet. And you can see out in Shingletown, looks wet but not snowy. Unfortunately, the Lassen Park camera is down, but I'd be willing to guess there's probably some snow up there. In Chester, earlier this morning, it was just a wet road. Now it's covered in snow at 4,500 feet. For down your summit, you can barely see the road because there's so much snow on the highway there. So you can bet there's some chain requirements there. Highway 36, 44 intersection. This is basically Highway 36 conditions here. Looks like you got the snow on the highway there. Town Hill, northwest of Susanville, looks clear. Wet in southeast Susanville, looks okay there. All right, so we take a look at the forecast road conditions here, and it looks like we are seeing essentially just more in the way of the potential for chain requirements. I mean, even at 1 o'clock this afternoon, look at I-5 near Mount Shasta. You're looking at the potential for more snow there. In fact, going through the afternoon. Now, I question this because we're not seeing as much rain and snow this afternoon and evening. So to see the conditions get worse on I-5, I'm kind of questioning that, at least this afternoon and evening. And then as we go into tonight, tomorrow morning, again, we're not going to see much activity tonight, tomorrow morning. So again, I question that. Now we look at the forecast winds, and yes, they are expected to be pretty gusty this morning, but we're already beginning to see signs of them dying down. Still a bit breezy for many of us in the valley, but then by Saturday, by this afternoon that is, we're going to be looking at those much calmer conditions here. We didn't need to see that again. I don't know why that's on there twice, but it is. All right, let's take a look at the forecast for today. There you can see, of course, those temperatures in the low 50s for this afternoon in the valley. 20s and 30s, mainly 30s, really, for the higher elevations today. And out in along the coast, temperatures in the low to mid 50s. Taking a look at your 7-day outlook, and there you can see, of course, I think we're going to see a break. The latest forecast model is showing that maybe some activity, maybe a sprinkle or two late in the day on Sunday for the valley, but I'm going to keep it dry. And then Monday will be third storm system coming on through. And then it looks like maybe, and here's the thing, this is something I saw a few days ago, and then of course the model's backed off on it. Now they're bringing back the chance for some leftover showers possibly on Tuesday. Wouldn't you know it, right? But then it's dry for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for the valley. Now taking a look at the coast, I think afternoon, evening, a chance for some showers is also the case for inland and for Trinity County. That's on Sunday. On Monday, of course, that's the third storm system coming on through. This one, by the way, a Monday storm system outside of some gusty winds for the coast is not going to be quite as strong. It'll bring us snow in the mountains, though. And then again, that chance for showers on Tuesday. Otherwise, we're dry Wednesday, Thursday for the coast. But by as early as Friday of next week, the coast will see another round of rain. However, inland and for Trinity County, probably dry through Friday. All right, we take a look at Siskiyou, Modoc, and the Eastern Mountains. Also, that chance for afternoon and evening showers for Mount Shasta and even the Alturas area. Otherwise, the Eastern Mountains, Susanville, for example, you'll be dry all day tomorrow. And then, of course, that next system coming in on Monday, there's that slight chance on Tuesday. And then, of course, we're looking at dry conditions for Siskiyou, Modoc County, and the Eastern Mountains Wednesday through Friday. All right, good morning, everyone. How you doing out there this morning? It is Saturday morning. The thing is, the good news is the storm hasn't packed quite the punch as I was expecting. I was expecting more chain requirements, and there were chain requirements late last night, early this morning on I-5 near Mount Shasta. Those have since then been lifted. But I am a little concerned as we progress into this morning that we may run into some more problems on I-5. We're mainly behind the cold front now. Colder air has moved in, so snow levels are expected to drop as a result. So we could be looking at the potential for maybe some more chain requirements popping up in the next couple of hours for the Mount Shasta area along in I-5. But I think it's not going to last for very long because as we get to the noon and early afternoon hours, We're behind that system, and most of it's off to the east, which we'll see here in just a second in the deeper dive forecast. But overall, minus the gusty winds we saw last night, creating some power outages, some people still being impacted by those power outages as we speak. It's not as bad this morning as I initially thought. I could have taken the morning off, and really for the most part you could have known what's really kind of going on based off of social media and the works. But you know, when I'm here, I might as well do it, right? So again, the main concern I have right now is the next couple of hours. So you just may want to check those road conditions before heading out. And I would say, though, by the late morning to early afternoon, shouldn't have too many problems on I-5 in particular, and of course west of I-5 as well, with the exception of maybe Highway 36 west, and of course east of I-5, as we typically see this time of the year. You know, even though they're going to be looking at clearing there later this afternoon, I'd say east of I-5, there's still going to be a lot of chain requirements out there as well. All right, so let's kind of check in with some of you this morning here, have a little fun before we get into that deeper dive forecast. We've got some of our regulars checking in this morning here. We have got Chappie checking in saying, good morning, everyone. Cold and wet in West Reading. We've also got Lisa Stevens saying, good wet morning to you all. Curtis Brown saying, good morning from 7 miles west of Red Bluff. Biggest gust we had last night was 35 miles an hour. Interesting. There were some stronger gusts around the Red Bluff area. Out at the airport in particular, is over 50. Yesterday's rain let up a little, had 56 hundredths as of 1830 hours. All right. Let's take a look at Tracy Sackett this morning. She's also chiming in this morning saying, good morning. Just a light dusting of snow this morning so far in the MacArthur area. We didn't get the crazy winds, thankfully. You know, the winds may pick up a little bit this morning, but overall it shouldn't be all that bad. And then Jim is saying, I need a 6-scoop pot of coffee. Morning. Good morning, all. Yeah. Coffee is always a good thing to kind of help wake you up in the morning. We got Chrissy Bentley saying, good morning. Great report and appreciate you. You bet. I'm glad to be here. I would have been up anyways, worrying about the storm anyway. So why not be up and, you know, getting data and information for everybody. Tracy saying, we appreciate you coming up and keeping us updated. Hope everyone has a great weekend. I know I will. And of course, Brian is going to be back for your noon update and your 6 o'clock in the evening update. And of course, not Brian, Chase. I'm still getting used to his name change. It'll take time. But again, the backstory behind that, his name actually is, people always, when he grew up, everyone called him Chase. But it was kind of this weird thing with the job and the application, all that. Catherine Schmidt this morning, chiming in this morning, she's saying, so confused with you here on Saturday. Yeah, I know. But again, I would have been, you know, the winds were really howling last night. I would have been worried about the storm. I would have been up anyways. So it's like, again, might as well just kind of stay here and do it and be here for the forecast. Well, tell you what, since it's not just a, you know, huge ordeal, what do you say we get to the deeper dive forecast? But before we do that, let's take a look at some of the cameras, and then we'll get into the deeper dive after that. I think that's a good choice. Still a little dark, it looks like at Lake Oroville, North Forebay. Boy, those overcast skies are not helping matters. So we're going to go ahead and take you to now Main Street, Chico, Highway 36. Looks very wet there. You look at the trees, the winds aren't blowing quite as strong as they were last night. There's a look at Highway 99 at Neal Road. Still looks very wet there. Camera blown a little bit in the wind there. And there's a look at Highway 44 at Sundial Bridge Drive in Reading. You know, it's a Saturday morning, so obviously there's not going to be as much traffic out there in the morning. By the way, I want to remind you, if you do have any storm photos, say of snow, storm damage of the winds, maybe a downed tree or whatnot, or a cute picture of your pet or a beautiful landscape photo. Love to see them. Share your photos from the free Weather NorCal app from your iPhone, your Android. And if you don't have the app, all you got to do is search for Weather NorCal in your app store and you are good to go. All right. As you know, Coffee with Krueger is made possible by Wind River Resort and Casino. They've been sponsoring Coffee with Krueger since day one. At Wind River Resort and Casino, enjoy friendly service, a wide variety of specials and promotions, plus all of your favorite slots and table games. All right, we take a look at the current conditions out there right now. And we do have essentially temperatures in the upper 40s. in the valley. Right now, about 47 degrees for Redding, 48 degrees in Chico. We're about 33 out in Susanville, 43 degrees for Hoopa, and 50 degrees right now in Crescent City. We take a look at the radar. Here's the wide perspective. And I mentioned this earlier, but believe it or not, there actually was this morning a tornado warning in San Francisco, right there on the peninsula. Can you believe it? Right there in the bay, there was a tornado warning. That expired, I think it was about 6:15 this morning. But there's the rain associated with that storm pushing northward. Now you can see look how active it was over the ocean. You see all of those lightnings. Look at all of the lightning strikes. That arrow that you saw, that was the radar from Barron picking up on some intensity with that storm. It's known as the Barron Index. And that right there was indicating a pretty strong thunderstorm. Obviously, there was this was the tornado warning. The reason the National Weather Service issued it is because based on signatures from the radar, it looked like there could have been some rotation in that storm system. But now, of course, that you can see things have quieted down for them. Winds are dying down. And of course, you can also see that the system is pushing eastward. But the north end of that is pushing northward into NorCal, and that's why places like Chico eventually seeing some of that heavier rainfall. That'll be pushing northward, and I think Redding could see some of that. But once this is all generally moving to the east, so we're going to see it begin to kind of back off as far as the overall intensity of the rain, but still that steady rainfall through the morning hours, and then of course behind it, we're going to be looking at clearing skies. Yeah, I know, clearing skies this afternoon. There is a flood watch here, and that's been the case here throughout the last few days here for southern Humboldt County. But this area right down here, this is where there's a flood advisory right here, this green area in Butte County. Now this expires at noon today. And we took a look at the river forecast levels. None of them are expected to reach flood stage, but some of them are going to be, kind of getting what's known as the action stage, which is several feet below the flood stage, but it is kind of at least inching closer to that flood stage. But I'm not expecting any flooded rivers, or kind of especially around the Sacramento River and the Eel River, Mad River, for example, as well on the north coast. But again, these are not the right numbers. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to change it. I had some kind of weird technical glitch here with those rainfall totals. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down over here. There you can see the latest right there. That's what we're looking at. That's what I'm talking about, folks. That is the latest as far as the rainfall totals are concerned over the last 3 days. So you can see it was, looks like, well, close to 3 inches out towards Redding. But I think, once all is said and done, especially as we go through Monday, we'll get over 3 inches at that point. Red Bluff 1.74, Chico 1.7. There you can see out in Crescent City, look at that, 3.39. And the big winner was Hoopa with 3.57. And then, of course, you head off to the north and east, not nearly as much rainfall there. Look at Bernie, too. Looking pretty impressive there at 1.71. So there's the cold front that's passed through last night. It's along that cold front where we're seeing those strongest winds. So that's why the winds were strongest as it was passing through. So as the cold front continues to move to the east, number one, the winds will start to subside, and we're already beginning to see that. But number two, colder air behind that cold front. And that is going to allow the snow levels to drop a little bit here. You'll also notice, see the little curl right here? This spin, this is that last batch of that heavier rainfall that we're seeing over Northern California as we speak. Behind that, a little bit of the speckled clouds here, that's cold and unstable air. But due to the fact that we have a lower angle of the sun this time of the year and less daylight during the day, you don't get that intensity of that sun barreling down on us. So the chances for thunderstorms tend to die down a little bit, but we still have that chance for thunderstorms here, especially for parts of the north coast, west of the valley. But even the valley, not out of the question for a stray shower or thunderstorm later this afternoon. We do have a bit of a break on Sunday, and then on Monday, we've got the next system that'll be coming in here for Sunday and Monday. And that's all going to be moving eastward here as we take you through the day. Now, I know a lot of you hate the term atmospheric river. It's Pineapple Express. A lot of you say it's just good old-fashioned rain. That is correct. But what I do is I tell a weather story. That's what I do. That's part of what I do here. And part of that is I use all the different tools to tell that story. One of those tools is we look at what's known as the moisture content. This is the amount of available moisture in the atmosphere. And a lot of times you can see where those atmospheric rivers are. You can see one right here, a weak one. But, a few days ago, there were some, oranges and reds in there indicating a very moist column of air. So an atmospheric river, by definition, is a narrow column of moist air that typically comes from the tropics and subtropics, and it's transported by strong winds at the surface and in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So we had one of those about 2 days ago. It was a nice, long, thin column coming in from the tropics, and it stopped right about here. And then eventually, this trough low pressure developed right here, and it kind of cut off that flow. But even though that flow was cut off, we still had that stream of moisture that we did see yesterday, last night, and early this morning. That is a very weak atmospheric river, but an atmospheric river nonetheless. That's the moisture source from what we're seeing here. Okay, so this is shifting to the south as we speak. So as a result, things are drying out. But then we have another weak atmospheric river coming in on Monday, and that is going to bring us another round of rain. And then we go into your Tuesday, a little batch of moisture coming through, so that's why we have a slight chance on Tuesday. But dry for everyone by Wednesday, Thursday, and then sometime around Friday, Saturday, we may see some more moisture working its way in. Now you can see another atmospheric river here, but that's going to be pointed more down to our south. But of course, that's still a long ways out. We'll have to see what happens with that. But we take a look at the atmospheric river impact. What a lot of people don't know is that there are 5 categories of atmospheric rivers. 5 being the strongest. We're nowhere near that, but you can see what we saw yesterday. And then of course, we're not in an atmospheric river today or Sunday, but by Sunday night into Monday, we've got a weak category 1 atmospheric river. So nothing to be terribly concerned about. It's what we call mainly beneficial rainfall. And then we can see on Tuesday some leftover moisture, and then we're no longer in that atmospheric river as we go into Wednesday, Thursday. But as we go into Friday into Saturday, we see that ticking back up again. So I just want to, again, give you a definition of the different categories. So again, when we're in an AR1, an atmospheric river 1, that means it's primarily beneficial rainfall. It's usually good, right? We'll just take the rain. However, when you start getting even just into the AR2, that's a balance of beneficial rainfall. So yeah, it's rain that we could use, but it can also be hazardous. And that's essentially what we've seen so far, right? Because we've seen some mudslides and debris flows out there. We're looking at those, creeks and streams and rivers starting to rise a little bit. We're seeing some localized flooding in some areas here. Nothing major, right? But we're certainly beginning to see that. So this is really kind of holding true with the level of an atmospheric river that we dealt with here. We certainly aren't in the 3, 4, or 5, so that certainly is good news. All right, so again, talking about flooding, there is still, for today, this area right here where we have that marginal flood risk and even into that slight risk down into southwestern portions of Glenn County. That's for today. And the severe weather outlook, basically just the areas in green is where we have the best chance for thunderstorms to develop, should they develop. I do think, though, we could still see a slight chance making its way into parts of the valley. But when we look at Futurecast, that really won't show it. All right, but let's take a look at Futurecast here. Walk you through the timing here. 8 o'clock this morning, we're seeing that steady, moderate to heavy rainfall for the valley. We've got snow in the mountains. I think it could maybe transition back over to snow possibly around Mount Shasta City. We take a look at Highway 299 West. Looks like mainly in the form of rain at this point. We take you into about the noon hour. Now it's all pushing eastward. You see how we're still seeing that snow out towards Mount Shasta on I-5, and then we're on the back edge of that storm by noon, but still some showers for the valley, heavier rainfall in the foothills, heavy snow off to the east, and then things really starting to taper off, turning over to scattered showers, maybe even an isolated thunderstorm off to the west as well. 3 p.m. on Saturday, there you can see the clearing skies here. This is what I was talking about. If this were happening in the middle of the summer and we had the cold air aloft like we do now, this would be just a classic setup for severe thunderstorms to develop. But because we have a lower angle of the sun isn't out as long, we just don't have enough of daylight and daytime heating to really help to produce those showers and thunderstorms. That being said, we can't rule out a stray shower, maybe even a thunderstorm this afternoon, even for the valley. But you can see most of the activity is basically developing west of the valley and a lot of that cloud cover as well. Let's take you into Saturday this afternoon. There you can see again the clearing skies, and really for the most part the snow is beginning to taper off as well. So keep that in mind. The snow is tapering off through the afternoon and this evening. So when we look at the forecast road conditions, that's where I start questioning what it's showing here, but we'll get into that here in a second. By the way, with the clearing overnight and into tomorrow morning, if the winds are calm enough, we could be looking at some patchy fog and maybe even some patchy dense fog in some areas here for the valley here. So that's something to take into account. Otherwise, mainly clear skies. As we go through the day on Sunday, we're going to see some of these high clouds filter in by noon. Still dry for everyone, but then through the afternoon, I'm expecting Del Norte, Humboldt, Trinity County, Siskiyou County, and eventually late in the day for Modoc County, a chance for some snow there and a chance for some showers and snow in the higher elevations here. But I do expect the valley and the eastern mountains to be dry through the day tomorrow. But by tomorrow night, the main cold front is approaching. This is that weak atmospheric river that I was talking about. So we do have that steady rain through the overnight hours on Sunday into Monday morning. And then, of course, we've got that snow. Low snow levels still about the same again, around 3,000 to 4,000 feet. So we could still see some possibility on Monday morning for some chain requirements near I-5. We take a look at Highway 299 West. Look at that. We're seeing snow, it looks like, on Highway 299 West. This is Monday morning that we're looking at, by the way. Meanwhile, of course, you've got that snow off to the east and that rain down into the valley. But it looks like as we get into the noon hour, it's beginning to taper off. Still some snow in some areas here. This could still create some travel delays, but then by Monday afternoon, Monday evening, we're starting to dry things out. But you'll notice we do have plenty of clouds and moisture off to our west and maybe some showers. This is that leftover moisture we could see on Tuesday. So forecast rainfall totals through Monday afternoon. We could pick up another inch or so in the valley, maybe a little bit more than that, especially out towards Del Norte County, and of course much less rainfall off to the east. How much snow can we expect out of this? Well, through Monday, once that system comes through, Mount Shasta could pick up another 8 to 12 inches of snow. Dunsmuir, probably not that much. I think it's overdoing it, but there you can see out towards Chester. If we can get the snow levels low enough, and it looks like it may get low enough as we go into Monday, we could possibly pick up a trace of snow out towards Weaverville, Hayfork. And again, that's not going to be until Monday, most likely. Alturas, maybe 1 to 2 inches, and out towards Quincy, maybe 2 to 4 inches of snow there. Again, take a look at the chain requirements. This is east of I-5, a lot of chain requirements, and then, of course, Highway 36 west. But I-5 at this point looks clear. Now, I hesitate to show you the forecast road conditions because I don't really agree with it. Number one, I agree with the fact that we are going to see some of that snow as we get into the late morning and early afternoon hours. Or you can see all that snow off to the east. But it's really showing a lot more going into this evening and to tonight, especially on I-5 here and, of course, to the east. I don't agree with that. We were looking at Futurecast just a second ago, and it was showing those clearing conditions here. But as we do go into, it looks like, as we go into Sunday night, Monday morning, yeah, maybe that potential. So bottom line is this. I can tell you and give you a forecast of the road conditions based on, the temperature of the roads and, of course, the snow that's in the forecast. But it's always good to know what the conditions are before you head out. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to go to weathernorcal.com and scroll down a little bit. You'll see this image right here. It says road conditions. You click there. What I've done is I put together a great web page for road conditions. Number one, you've got a direct link to QuickMap from Caltrans. You can find out the latest road conditions. But below that, I've taken the more popular Caltrans cameras, and you can at a quick glance look at the road conditions and see what it looks like out there. Is there snow where you're going? Is there not snow where you're going? It's really just a great quick glance at everything that's going on as far as those road conditions are concerned. Hey, if you're heading out to the ski park today, just note that you're going to be dealing with more snow through the morning hours. So you're going to be skiing in the snow in the morning and even in parts of the afternoon as well. But through Monday, you could pick up another 24 inches of snow. That's what it looks like this morning here before I went on with Coffee with Krueger. Of course, it hasn't opened yet, but I mean, they're just seeing more and more snow up there. So certainly a good time out there at the Mount Shasta Ski Park. As of yesterday, reported 43 inches of snow. It's probably higher than that, especially with the snow that we did see last night and early this morning. We take a look at the forecast wind gusts, and you can see here as we go through the noon hour, still a bit breezy for the valley and even to the east, but I do expect as we go into this afternoon, the winds should really start to calm down. But with the approaching storm system on Sunday, we're going to notice the coast and central Siskiyou County in particular, seeing the potential for some gusty winds on Sunday. But you'll notice not the case for the valley or really even off to the east. And then even more so with the approaching storm system Sunday night into Monday, we're going to be looking at some gusty winds along the coast and in parts of Siskiyou County as well, and in particular for Shasta Valley. As you see here, also some gusty winds off to the east, but that's mainly out towards Lassen Park. And then of course the gusty winds still even on Monday morning for the coast. And even in the afternoon. But you'll notice the valley, yeah, maybe a little breezy, but certainly not the wind event that we did see last night and early this morning. Now again, not related to the rain that we're seeing, we do have a coastal flood warning along the coast here. A lot of the susceptible areas do, when we have these king tides, we tend to see some flooding in some of those coastal areas here. You know where they are if you live there, and most likely we'll be dealing with that here throughout the morning. Here are your wave heights taking you through this afternoon and Sunday. Look at Sunday. We're beginning to see the wave heights begin to retreat a little bit, so that certainly is some good news. There's a marine forecast for today, though. Northwest winds at about 10 to 15 knots. There's a small craft advisory for today and really through the weekend. Now, when we look at your Trinity County neighborhood forecast, one of the things I'm going to point out is, again, maybe a chance for some afternoon showers on Sunday, otherwise not very wet on Sunday. It's Monday that we have a better system coming in, not as strong as the one that moved through last night, but still it's going to bring us more rain and snow. I do expect on Tuesday, still maybe some leftover moisture, and then we dry things out for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We take it to the south with Mad River about 41, 39 degrees for Wildwood, and 43 degrees in Hayfork. And for the north coast, let's take you to the south here. There you can see Redway, you're dry for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, maybe a leftover shower on Tuesday. For places like Ferndale, Fortuna, Highsville, Rio Dell, you may see some showers possibly on Friday, as early as Friday, but I think everyone else for the most part is going to hold off until that next weekend. But for Hoopa, maybe a chance for showers late in the day tomorrow. Otherwise, you're dry tomorrow. More rain on Monday. A chance for some leftover showers on Tuesday before drying out for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We take it up to the north. Smith River about 53, 45 degrees for in Gas Key. Here's Crescent City. Now, we do have a chance for showers for the afternoon for Crescent City. Better chance for rain Monday, maybe some leftover showers on Tuesday. Drying out Wednesday, Thursday for the coast. But then on Friday, a chance for showers, and then going into that next Saturday as well. For Siskiyou County, you will see maybe a chance for some afternoon flurries, maybe a shower, but nothing significant. Better chances going into Monday, leftover activity on Tuesday, and then we dry things out for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. That's also the case for Scott Valley with a high of 44 degrees out in Fort Jones, 43 degrees in Callahan. Central Eastern Siskiyou County, 39 degrees for McDowell, 39 for Tennant, and 37 degrees for McLeod. Also seen that chance for maybe a late afternoon, early evening snow flurry on Sunday. Otherwise dry through most of the day tomorrow. Then on Monday, better chances. Dry for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. In your Eastern Mountains neighborhood forecast, I think everyone in the Eastern Mountains will be dry all day tomorrow with better chances for rain and snow coming into Monday. Lake Almanor, Lassen Park. We've got those temperatures in the mid to upper 30s around the perimeter of the lake there. You can see about 39 degrees for Chester, 36 degrees in Westwood. Down to the south, you can see Paradise, a high of 45, 42 degrees in Quincy, and 41 degrees in Doyle. Let's take you to the Valley neighborhood forecast brought to you by Walgamith Painting. Your temperatures are going to be in the low 50s for today. We've got scattered showers, maybe even an isolated thunderstorm for this afternoon, but of course that moderate to heavy rainfall this morning. Taking a look up to the north, 49 degrees out towards the city of Shasta Lake, 48 for Whiskeytown, and 52 degrees in in Cottonwood. Let's take a look at that 7-day outlook for Redding. And of course, we're dry on Sunday. Now, if you see a stray sprinkle or two on Sunday, don't be surprised, but overall, it will be a dry day tomorrow before the next round comes in Sunday night into Monday. And then, of course, maybe a leftover shower coming in on Tuesday before we dry things out entirely and warm back up a little bit in the low 60s for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. All right, so let's take a look at some of you. Maybe you have some questions or see what's going on out there, but otherwise we'll start to kind of wrap things up here pretty shortly here. Good morning from Delinda saying, nothing but rain here in downtown MacArthur. Interesting. Thank you for the report there. This is coming in from Debbie Bishop saying, good morning. Looks like she's got a couple of puppies there as well. And Chappie saying, not wanting thunder. It scares my little dog, Eddie. Yes, we had a dog that would start shivering and quivering in that, even when it just rained, because the dog would associate rain with, of course, the thunder. And of course, we've got Wanda saying, good morning, Mike, and I totally appreciate your forecast. You bet, Wanda. So glad you could watch this morning. So glad everyone else could watch this morning as well. Well, that should do it for us this morning. I'm going to leave you with a couple of cameras across the region here. And it looks like Lake Oroville. For some reason, I don't know if the camera's down or if it's just too dark, but we'll take a look at some of those other cameras out here. It looks like even North Forebay. I was going to show you that one too, but looks like it might be a little too dark for that as well. But we can show you Main Street Chico, and looks like still wet out there. Well, that's going to do it for this special Saturday edition of Coffee with Krueger. I want to thank you for joining us this morning. Stay safe out there, folks. And again, be sure to go to weathernorcal.com. Click on the road conditions section, and you will have everything you need to know when it comes to those road conditions, including looking at the latest cameras. Have a great day, everybody. Chase Wilson will be back in at noon today to give you the latest forecast there, and at 6 o'clock this evening. And of course, he'll be back again on Sunday. I'll be back again right here in Coffee with Krueger on Monday morning. And we'll have the latest on the third storm system that's coming in Sunday night and Monday. Have a great Saturday and a great weekend.
Thank you.